Hey guys, did you miss me? I wanted to drop this episode because there were so many gems and lessons to be learned in this real life case study based on a recent freestyling experience I had in Miami Beach during Art Basel weekend. So let's get into it. So of course, if you know anything about Art Basel, it brings people from all over the world who are interested in art or just the parties. Either way, it's a great time to be in Miami to network. I mean, honestly, anytime is a great time to be in Miami, but as you know, I'm a strategist and I prefer to plan my outings based on, what's going on. So that way I can have a higher success rate. Sidebar, I'm putting together a list of world events calendar that I'll be dropping inside Patreon, patreon.com/TSEGP. So stay tuned because you definitely want to plan these things in advance so you can be booked and you're not running all over the place disorganized. Okay, so I got VIP tickets to this exclusive Art Basel event, and I took one of my girlfriends with me who is a Dom, aka Dominatrix. She's the type of person that I prefer to go freestyling with when I don't go solo, and you'll soon see why. Ladies, remember that your wing woman should always compliment you, not sabotage you. Anyway, the event was at one of the swanky hotels in Miami Beach. Message me on Patreon for the name of the hotel because that was the bar that I met this billionaire, and I know for a fact that he frequents this place. So even you could meet him. Patreon.com/TSEGP. It's only $1 a month to join, and your donation helps me with admin costs for the show. Okay, so we had a blast, did a little networking at the event, and then we ended up at the hotel bar after the event because the event was from like 8 p.m. to 11 p.m., so it was short and sweet. But obviously, we knew the bar was going to be popping, so we headed over to the bar. So we're chilling, ordered some drinks, and this tall, older guy, white guy who looked like he was in his late 70s, he looked like this. He comes up to the bar and stands next to me. Now, this is where having the right wing woman comes in handy because I'm facing my girlfriend and my back was somewhat turned to him. So I couldn't see his face or his expressions, but she could. And she immediately whispered to me that he was staring at me hard. So of course I then turned towards him and asked him what he was drinking as an opener. He immediately took that as an invitation to talk and started yapping away. He offered us drinks as a gentleman should, yada, yada, yada. Then he asked me a few questions throughout the course of our conversation. But I noticed that he kept asking me the same questions over and over. And by the third time, I had to ask him if he was fucking with me. The look on his face showed that he really didn't remember. Red flag. Like, I like my men older, but I don't want a senile guy that's gonna forget that he was supposed to give me money, if you catch my drift. Now, this was the moment that I discovered that he was rich. Mind you, I already smelled the money based on my experience. Plus, he kept telling me about his apartment buildings and a couple of other things he owned. Like, the conversation, you could tell the money was there. But he pointed to a gentleman tucked away in the corner behind us, watching us. And he told me that was his friend that he takes with him wherever he goes to make sure he's okay. Basically, his handler. So I will give you this tip if I haven't already given you this tip before. If you ever meet a man and he has a handler, just know that he has money. Know he's rich. My guess is that he's been swindled before in the past by some hoes, Russians. And so he was warning me not to try anything funny, which is not my style anyway. But that was his way of saying, hey, look, don't try to rob me. Because, some girls in South Beach have been known to rob some guys, which is usually their fault because they think they're going to get free vagina from a beautiful woman. That's never going to happen. So they take these women back to their hotels or apartments and they rob them. They drug them and they rob them. So I guess he's probably had his fair share of that. So now he takes his handler wherever he goes. But like I said, it's not my style. I prefer for people to give me money willingly. I rather have a good time, us have fun. I'm charming, you're charming, we're enjoying life, and you give me money. That's the way I roll. I don't believe in stealing or, any of the shady shit. Just not my style. Anyways, he cut straight to the point. Most of you know that I'm always thinking long-term when I freestyle, but if a short-term opportunity presents itself and it's persistent, I will indulge because money is money. And for those of you who don't know what short-term versus long-term means, I've discussed it on previous episodes or previous videos on YouTube, but basically long-term is when you meet a guy, you hit it off, you guys exchange information, and then you kind of build that relationship to get him to start giving you money. Short term is where you go out and you make money the same night. So he wanted a short term encounter, if you will. But like I said, if it presents itself, I will indulge because money is money. He basically asked me what did it take for me to go back to his place, which was the building next door. Another qualifier that let me know that he had it. You can also ask me what the name of the building was because it's another great gem in South Beach. But he basically told me to name my price, and he said, whatever it is, the answer is yes. So I wasn't even going to push it. I was just going to, enjoy each other at the bar and build some rapport and then just discuss the financials when we got back to his place. But then he asked again and insisted. So I told him to make me an offer because, as you know, you should never make the first offer because you don't want to leave money on the table. But then he proceeded to lowball me. Now, his offer wasn't completely terrible. In fact, if I was in a different mood, I probably would have accepted it and then used my seductive charms later to sweet talk him and get more money out of him when we got back to his place. But the fact that he was seemingly senile, which a handler wouldn't hesitate to say that I tried to take advantage of him, just wasn't appealing to me. Like, it was a combination of a few things. It was the fact that he wasn't all the way there mentally, and he was already lowballing me, which is kind of annoying. And I just wasn't even in the mood because I'd been partying all weekend for Art Basel. I even lost my voice, mind you. So I'm basically communicating with him via my notepad. It was hilarious. But yeah, I just didn't want, a situation where we would get back to his place and then it becomes an issue where he forgot what we talked about, or worse, his handler thinks I'm trying to take advantage of him. I just didn't want any of those problems. And I told him to double the offer. And he said no. And I'm like, but I thought you said whatever the number is, you would say yes. So why are you going back on your word? Another red flag. If a guy's talking a good game, but he doesn't back it up, that's a red flag to me. Again, the money he said wasn't bad. Like in my earlier days, I probably would have taken it. But I just didn't like the way he operated. Like, little things like this you have to pick up on because it could lead to a dire situation later. And I basically told him it's not like you're poor. And he's like, I'm not. And I'm like, okay. My guess is that because the bar started getting a little bit crowded, he figured he could get another girl cheaper. Because like I said, this particular bar on the beach is a hoe bar. Russian freestyling girls, they tend to take lowball offers because a lot of times they might rob you. Or they're just, hungry and trying to make some money. So he saw that the bar started getting packed and I guess he figured he would take his chances with another girl because he's probably used to girls finessing him and not giving him a good time. But if he wasn't so cheap, he probably would have better experiences with women. And he kept telling me how beautiful I am, like I don't already know, stuff like that. And like I said, I lost my voice from going out the night before. He had a hearing aid, so it was just, it was a mess. And if it didn't flow, I wasn't going to do it. So long story short, he has definitely done this before and was only interested in the bedroom because he specified that he only wanted to spend 2 hours together. When I tell you this guy was very specific about what he wanted, you could tell that he's definitely done this before many times. He told me he only wanted to spend 2 hours together, and he told me it takes him a long time to get hard. And then he asked me if I got really wet. All this was his way of grooming me to let me know that he was only interested in quick sex. Which, like I said, whatever, but you're not gonna lowball me. Like, you're basically telling me that I'm gonna have to work extra hard to please you. Why the fuck would I take your lowball offer? And like I said, maybe if he caught me on another day, I probably would have said yes and just sweet talk the money out of him with my charms. I've done it many times. I've talked guys out of money that they didn't think they were going to spend before they met me. I've done it many times. Strip, strip, hooray. It's just that for me, the combination of his demeanor, the handler, the lowball offer, and his senile behavior, and him not even trying to budge on the number just made me throw him back in the water. And my intuition said no. I didn't even give him my number because I just don't want yet another wealthy guy that I need to play mental gymnastics with to get money out of. Been there, done that. I already have a couple of those in my phone, and I only go to them when I really need some money or whatever. And then I'll reach back into my phone and try to sweet talk them. But I don't hang out with these types of guys very often because I prefer generous men. Anyways, if you want to know what the offer was, DM me on Patreon. And like I said, this guy frequents this bar, so you might run into him and you might like that offer and go with it. Or you could just go there, whatever. DM me on Patreon, patreon.com/TSEGP. It's only $1 a month to join. And mind you, I was dressed very conservatively. For those of you wondering, wow, how ballsy this guy is. I was dressed super conservatively because I just came from the event. My girlfriend was actually dressed a little bit more risque than me. She had the cleavage going. She had a very high slit on her dress. It was a cute, gorgeous dress. But if anyone was going to be mistaken for a hoe, it should have been her, not me. This is what I was wearing. So yeah, it's definitely all about energy because I feel like the guys who know just know. That's just been my personal experience in this world. And as for my girlfriend, she actually left us for a bit to walk around and ended up meeting a guy and exchanging numbers with him. The guy, we'll call him Mr. Billy, Mr. Senile Billionaire. He paid up for our tab. So it was a win-win to me because I was there to catch up with my girlfriend anyway because she was visiting from out of town. So it worked out. We got our tab paid for. I thanked him for the drinks and I said good night. Oh, and by the way, he wasn't actually a billionaire, but I would say he was private jet money, which to me, once you reach a certain amount of wealth, it doesn't matter. Like money doesn't matter to you anymore, which is another reason why I was like, why is this motherfucker lowballing me? Anyways, he was definitely private jet money. I just didn't dig further because we just weren't a match. And I'm just no longer in a place where I feel like I need to force something just because a guy has money. Because there are literally tons of wealthy and generous men out there. So don't force shit, ladies. Like, I've been there, done that. It might work out like temporarily, but you're going to end up regretting even forcing it because you're going to be like, why did I even fool with this person? But anyways, I say all of this to say that not all money is good money. And just because a guy is wealthy doesn't mean that he's generous. And you have to know when to walk away and throw him back to the ocean so you can get a more suitable benefactor. Let me know in the comments below if you've ever had a similar situation where you had to let a guy go. But I wanted to keep this short and sweet. I will catch you guys next time. Have a great week. Bye.